We are thinking that these 4 transformations that are happening and the work that researchers are doing within the 4 transformations should be or should present to all of us a significant opportunity for the development of policies that ensure sustainable and resilient food systems. If, for example, in southern Malawi and the Tanga district of Tanzania, we have this transformation within and out of maize, and you know maize is a staple in Malawi, I'm sure, in Tanzania, in Kenya as well. So if this transformation is happening, are policies in place to ensure that at the end of it all, in the year 2050, we have food systems that are resilient, that are sustainable. We are able to feed our people, no hunger and no malnutrition. And there is also another transformation happening in Malawi and central Zambia, where we have intensification happening, irrigation systems. Have we thought through, are these evidence-based policies that we are seeing in place such that in 2050, 2060, the generations to come will say, yes, we were in office, because then we'll be grandparents, we're in office, they put in place policies that have made us succeed. We are seeing in in Tanzania, and one of the districts, which is the Tanga, they're transforming, moving from domestic production for domestic markets to the export. Is that something that many years to come we are saying, it's good we did it, it's good we moved? Or should something be done now? Should we as scientists get credible information to inform governments to project the expectations of many years to come? As well, there is diet diversification, and here we are looking towards protein, fats, and refined oils, looking at those value chains in Zambia and South Africa. These are transformations, and we are talking about policy for sustainability in food systems. Let's use this, discuss, dialogue, and ensure that as the transformations are happening, in future there will be no regrets. We will have achieved and solved the problems that are facing this continent. I just want to let you off my hook with this, that let's not underestimate the transformative potential of our actions now and going forward, and the power of policy, and policy that's implemented, not policy that's formulated without implementation. And by advocating for policies that prioritize sustainability, equity, resilience, we can cultivate a future where healthy food nourishes both our bodies and our planet. That's the transformative food systems. And let's be the change we wish to see in the world. And let us work together to build a thriving and just food system for generations to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. Another round of applause. Cecilia, you have just set the scene. You are not off the hook. If you can join me on the stage. If you can take the seat there. I'm going to invite our 4 panelists. Starting with Mr. Duncan Samikwa, who is a Director of Food, Agriculture and Natural Resources for SADC. If he can join us to the fore, let's give him a round of applause. Let's also invite Ms. Elufi Nyirenda Agra Malawi. She has a home ground advantage. We will also invite Mr. Kofi Akwe, who is from the Young Professionals for Agricultural Development Africa, the youth in the house. And lastly, I'm going to invite Mr. Ridwell Musopole, who is Director of Planning, Ministry of Agriculture, Malawi. We have the government in the house. Okay, do we have everybody here? Ridwell. Okay, he's going to join us. I think if we can get another chair. Okay, or I will do us the honors. I'm still young at heart. Please go ahead and take a seat. You will agree with me that the scene has been set, and a good job indeed. And let me, before we get at it, just quote one of the greats in this continent, who I'm not going to name. You will just guess. She said, "We produce what we do not eat, and eat what we do not produce." And you'll guess who that was. And that was well said indeed. So I'm going to start on that note, looking at the issues of coordination. Duncan, from your area of work, and especially in the SADC community, how do you think we are doing in terms of facilitating regional policy coordination so that we can address the elephant in the room, which is food security? You have 2 minutes or so, and let's see how you respond to that. Okay, I'll be fine as we go.
Thank you, Professor. There are people here who know my director, so if you call me director, they may whisper to him that, have you lost your job? Yeah, my name is Duncan Samikwa. I'm not yet the director, but I'm the senior program officer responsible for food security and agriculture, and I'm sitting in for the director. Professor, your question, how are we doing? We are not doing well, as I speak for SADC, as a region. You know, we've come from the so-called Maputo Declaration to Malabo Declaration. Now we're moving to Kampala Declaration. The past 4 evaluations of these declarations, where we committed to 7 things, including transformation of the food systems, which is coming up now. As SADC, we've not done well. We've not met any of the commitments in the past 4 iterations. So we're not doing well. We have protocols, strategies across all the value chain that the Professor Onyango presented. Unfortunately, many of them still lie unratified, unsigned. These are policies that have been approved. I'll just give you an example. We've got a harmonized seed policy, which we agreed as a region that the best way is to have a harmonized approach to food systems, so that when you produce a seed and you have certified it in Malawi, you should be able to export it in DRC without going through trials again. And this works very well when there's a drought, when there's flooding. But our member states, for some reasons, are not yet signing. Only a few is not ratified. So there are so many things that we need to do. From the speakers this morning, Chair of Fanrpan, Chair of CISANET, said our challenge as a region is implementation. So we need to implement what we agree we are going to do. Even as we move into the food systems, from us in SADC and AUC, we're calling it agri-food systems. We must make sure that we agree and implement. I like your last quotation. I'm not bribing you for time, but I like your last quotation when you said we produce what we do not eat and eat what we do not produce. We are following 4 value chains as SADC: rice, cotton, wheat, and soya. Rice alone, in SADC, we spend close to $1 billion importing rice. Yet Tanzania, Mozambique can produce enough rice for the whole Africa continent, not just SADC. So it's beyond all those. Everything else, we keep importing. We've got resources in terms of rivers, water bodies, but irrigation in SADC is just 3%. And if you analyze that 3%, most of it, probably 2% of it, is from South Africa. That's why year in, year out, we've got huge millions food insecure. This year we're saying 70 million. Last year it was 58 million. Next year it's going to be another million. Maybe I stop there for the beginning.
Thank you very much, Duncan, for painting the picture in terms of the work in the region. And the question that is posed to those of us who are supposed to take these decisions is that the pipeline of policy development and approval is not moving. So we need to do something about it. These policies are important to change lives on the ground. Just so that we don't leave things on a sour note, if you can point out one example where we have a policy that you would say, here, this was success all the way.
Yeah, I can think of that doesn't mean that nothing is working. A lot of things are working. We have succeeded in the region in infrastructure, for example, and making things move across. SADC has driven the so-called one border posts. Now we've got one in Kazungura, another one is in Mchinji, another one is in Dedza, Malawi, and there's others in Mozambique. As a region, we've built the bridge, Kazungura Bridge, those of you who know. That is important because for trade, it has been estimated that our current mode of moving goods for commerce, for industry, is equivalent to a truck that moves at 6 kilometers, 6 kilometers per hour, because it takes so much for you to bring stuff from where we're exporting or importing to the member states. But with these developments, things are moving. Last one, we are pushing what we call the water food security nexus. There are a number of huge projects that are now coming up. One is at Songwe, one is between Eswatini and Mozambique, where member states are collaborating in terms of using a shared resource like water course for development of both sides, electricity, agriculture, recreation, and others. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Duncan. Let's give him a round of applause. The message is very clear. It's very difficult to find successes. So something is wrong. We need to change how we're doing things. We're going to switch gears and go to Elufi, who is representing Agra Malawi. We have talked about transformation of food systems. And if you can share some perspective in terms of what does food systems transformation look like from your perspective as Agra? And how are you working with other key stakeholders to make sure that we can deliver on this big dream of a transformed food system?
Thank you so much, moderator, for a very good question. So maybe I would start by providing a bit of perspective that 90% of sub-Saharan rural population rely on agriculture for income. And when you also look at these farmers, 95% of them rely on land-fed agriculture, meaning that, and you can actually look at the issues of environment where we are being affected by climate change and so forth, and food security situation has, I can say, maybe food security situation has become a challenge partly because of these shocks. So as we are talking about food system transformation, we look at how we can improve the way we do agriculture from the production itself, processing and distribution, looking at the whole value chain. So for us as Agra, we look at, when we're talking about food system transformation, we are looking at how we can ensure that we've improved the agriculture itself, and even in terms of income, that farmers have income, at least they're able to get income from their participation in the farming business. We're also looking at how government creates an enabling environment for the private sector to be able to participate in the agribusiness. We're also looking at the adoption of agricultural practices that promote sustainability. We're also looking at taking advantage of the youth badge, where we have the youth, and these are in majority. And if we take advantage of the demographic dividend, then these should be able to participate in productive activities and contribute towards the economic growth and as well as economic production. So this is how we look at food system transformation as Agra. In terms of how we do collaborate with stakeholders, I think we do collaborate with many of them, particularly government, which is the host. We are here as Agra to support government in implementing its agenda, and government of Malawi has been prioritizing mega farm and many other initiatives like agricultural diversification. So we work with government to ensure that they're able to implement these flagship programs, as well as making sure that they are also implementing policies that could transform the agriculture sector. Secondly, we are also working with the private sector. We do understand that government is there just to create an enabling environment, but the ones who invest in agriculture transformation is the private sector. So our programs do bring the private sector into the fold to make sure that they are able to invest in the areas that will grow the economy. We are also working with civil society organizations at national level as well as at local level, because there are policies that need to be initiated, at the same time need to be implemented at community or local level. And these are the same actors that also interact with the farmers at grassroots level. So we work closely with the civil society organizations. We work with the academia research institutions because things are evolving. And as we are talking about agriculture and transformation, I think based on the earlier presentation made by Professor Cecilia, she alluded to the fact that there is innovation and technology that has to be considered. So we work with research institutions to make sure that whatever decisions that are being made, even policy decisions, are based on evidence. So that's why, as Agra, we work with these ones to ensure that we are also involving in terms of the programs and projects that we are promoting. Lastly, the youth. I think if we cannot work with the youth, then it means we are missing out, because these are the ones that are in the productive age group, and they're the ones who can transform the economy. So in Malawi, we have more than 15 million. Out of 15 million are the youth. And these are the ones that can determine whether Malawi should grow or not. So these are just one of our key stakeholders that we are also prioritizing. So I think in terms of how we are working in Malawi, I think in brief, this is what we are doing just to support the agriculture and food system transformation in Malawi. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Luffy, for that. I was going to ask you a second question, but because you have now set the scene for the youth, let me move to the youth so that we can hear it from the horse's mouth. Kofi, you're from the young and the youth and the future and all this and that. What role do young professionals play in shaping agricultural policy in the continent? I've given you a very big dance floor.
Thank you very much for the dance floor. And this question makes me feel very, it makes me feel like I have a responsibility on my head as a young person, because it doesn't give me a chance to go the usual route where we talk about the problems that we have, the challenges. And thinking about this question actually makes me reflect on the fact that it's very easy for youth to point out where the problems are and who is responsible and all that. But for the current situation of Africa, the youth is now the majority. And in the next few years, we are the ones going to be blamed for everything that is going on. So it's great for us to stand up as youth, as young professionals, and take charge and make things happen. Some of the things that we can do is to inform policy making, document our experiences, to inform, to make sure we have evidence-based information for the formation of policy. With the work I do with YPAD, we've had the chance to work with FARA, the Forum for Agricultural Research in Africa, where we carried out an experience capitalization activity to document the experiences of the youth, the challenges, the way forward. This is one of the things that we can do. Another thing is to work with foresight, to look forward into the future and see what we can do to address the challenges. We can package the youth's vision of technologies and innovation to help address the challenges that there are in the food systems as well. We also, as youth, have this responsibility to, or specifically as young professionals, we have the responsibility to help with the operationalization of the policies that there are, interpreting it to our peers who may not have the understanding that we have as professionals, and to make sure that the information about the policy is well driven down, it's well understood, that youth would know that all these going on, all these discussions also concern us. And then another very important role that we play also has to do with the review of policies, where after everything has been practiced and rolled out, we will be able to point out what worked and what might have not worked, and then make recommendations as to what can be done newly. So those are some of the things that I've observed actually in the work that I do. These stand out to be very important ways in which youth can contribute as their roles to policy formation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kofi. You mentioned something that got me thinking. You were a bit worried that the youth are always blamed for everything that has gone wrong. If this will be any consolation to you, the country where I come from, which is South Africa, we celebrate what is called June 16th, which is a holiday. And it's a youth celebration where we celebrate the youth that played an important role in the revolution in South Africa. So you will not be blamed in the long run. Let's get closer to home. Ridwell, you have the home ground advantage here.